Okay, I'm live. I'm not sure if anybody can hear me, but I'm doing an impromptu live with Dr. Jumoke. Can anybody hear me? Not sure. Let me check. Let's see. Yes. Okay. Yes. Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm trying to do an impromptu live. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Let me know if you hear me. Promoting my retreat I'm hosting in June, and I would like us to have more discussions around it. Oh, she's here. Okay. Let me bring her in. So yes, as I said, I'm doing an impromptu live. I was hoping to put out a poster, but it just didn't work. But I've learned to just roll with it, and so I'm just going to roll with it today. I have the amazing Dr. Jumoke. She obliged to do this with me. She's our keynote speaker for the retreat, and so she'll be coming on and just talking a little bit about her wellness journey. There's a lot about wellness that many doctors don't understand. We promote, particularly for our patients, but we haven't owned it as part of our lifestyles or our journeys. And so I'm hoping that through discussions like this and with this retreat, there's more information, more enlightenment about wellness. And so that's what this is about. I'll be adding her on in a bit, and we're just going to discuss. She's somebody I admire a lot. If you know, of course, we have the same first names, which is really unique. And I've just followed her from a distance, and she's been an inspiration. And I'm looking forward to learning a lot from her regarding wellness, just attaining wellness and obviously elevating to where she's at right now. And I'm sure she has a journey in wellness like we all do, which she'll be very happy to, talk to us about. And before I bring her on, I want to just say something about wellness. So there's a state of wellness, and I call that state well-being, where you are well, you've done the things you should do to attain a state of wellness, and then when you attain that state, there are lifestyle activities that you want to curate and cultivate to get to a point where we say you are elevating to wellness. And that's the theme of the retreat, by the way. It's June 29th to 30th in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I look forward to having many of you sign up and come and just learn more about how you can attain wellness and elevate from attaining to going beyond that. So yeah, I'm going to bring Dr. Jumoke in right now, and then we'll go from there. Let me see if I can bring her in. Let's see, I'm trying to see if I can bring her in. I think I have to invite you, right? Let's see. Oops. Okay.
Hey. Hey there, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm still on the road, not home yet,
Oh
but
my goodness.
it's what it is. Thank
Well,
you so
it's
much for obliging me. I'm so honored. Thank you so
no
much.
worries.
Thank
No worries.
you.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's jump right in. Sunday evenings are very important for doctors, getting ready for the work week. So I won't take much of your time. But as I said on the other side, I'm hoping we do this a second and the third time and just take a lot of, resource from you, which you have gladly obliged. And I'm really thankful. So I just want to start jumping right into it. For you, what's your wellness journey been like? If you could share, because I know that there's been a lot in your journey as a woman in medicine, but I think the biggest thing I want to take from you today, if you will, is just how you got
Hang
to
on one
this
second.
point of, sure,
Yeah, sorry.
yeah, sure,
Go ahead.
how you got to this point. It's raining, so I guess that's why it's breaking. It's really raining a lot here, but we'll make it work. If you could share how you got to this point of wellness. I know you take it very seriously, and I would really like to just learn from you and have people that would join the live later on, and even what they recorded, just kind of have a glimpse into your journey into wellness.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to be able to speak to your tribe. And I'm really excited about the retreat that is coming up in the summertime. It's
No.
going to be a time of refreshing, but also a time of sharing. And I think for clinicians, for doctors, we don't always take time to reflect on ourselves. Like we're constantly prescribing stuff to other people, and we're probably the worst in terms of like practicing what we preach. So I'm looking forward to just that safe space of being able to share and really getting people to really understand that it doesn't matter what you have. If you're not healthy enough or you're not well balanced enough to enjoy it, it's not worth all the work that you put in. So when
Mm-hmm.
I talk about my wellness journey, the one thing I do like to say is it is a journey. It is an ongoing thing. And so I see people like seeing wellness as an event, right?
Right.
Like I'm going to the spa, that's an event, but that is a product of wellness. And for me, when I look at like what does wellness mean, wellness is really putting myself first, right? Like,
Hmm.
honestly, that's it. Because I have this phrase I use a lot. I say, you can't pour out of an empty cup. When a cup is empty, you can't pour out of it. And that's really what we all try, especially women. Like, we try to pour out of an empty cup. We take care of everyone before ourselves. And so by the time even our bodies are telling us that, oh my God, slow down, typically it's already a little too late. So, like I said, it's a journey. So I'm even on it, and it takes a conscious effort because the way we're wired. So speaking to pretty much every woman, but typically African women of African descent, the way we're wired is to always like we pride ourselves in the hustle, right?
Yes.
We pride ourselves.
Yeah.
The more we hustle, the more we've like arrived. And so it's almost like a deep programming that you have to do first. And then you have to live each day intentionally, which is really hard, right? For people that just want to go, go, go. Like you get like stripes or checks for being a multitasker, doing everything. But my question typically is like, do you show up as your best when you're doing all of that?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer typically
Mm-hmm.
is no, right? Like we're given like 10% to 10 different things. And so at the end of it, we haven't shown up in excellence. We're exhausted. And so we're not winning. So my journey of wellness started when I decided that I needed to be the author of my own
Mm-hmm.
destiny and that I needed to show up in excellence. So if I only showed up in one spot, I needed to show up in excellence,
And
and that
that's
I am
gotcha.
carrying more on the inside of me at that moment than I was expressing to the world. And
Hmm.
me being in that hustle mentality did not allow me to fully show all that God had put on the inside of me. So it was and you said we'll get into it later on. It was this wake up call to stop and say, if God was standing in front of me, how would he want me to show up? And he wanted me to show up in excellence. And I
Hmm.
realized that when
Yes.
I
Wow.
put myself, like, if I when I did not show up in excellence, I wasn't portraying the true picture of God or the true
Mm-hmm.
picture of him that he wanted me to portray to the world.
Mm-hmm. Wow. 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 So did you have like a God moment, like an epiphany, or was it like a scare, a health scare, or was it just a decision with age? For some people, it's like, oh, I turned 40, or they had a health scare. What was it for you?
I had moments, several moments, which is, I always tell people I'm God's favorite daughter, right? And because he did chase after me and he gave me several opportunities. So there were different things. There were epiphanies, there was health scares, there were um pivotal life moments, right? And he just kept coming after me. And like, it was so glaring when I finally realized, like, oh my God, I see what you're doing. And I look back, like they always say, like, when you look back, it's 2020, right? Like, I realized, oh my goodness, like, this has been it all along. Like, this is because once I realized or I figured out how to harmonize my life and my work, this me showed up. So before the epiphany and the scare and all of that, there was no Dr. Jumoke. There was just this Jumoke, Dr. Adedoyin, working, grinding, hustling somewhere here in Georgia, right? Like
Wow.
trying to do it all in my own strength and trying to be superwoman to everyone.
I'm sorry I'm laughing, but I hear this a lot, and sadly, people probably have had these epiphanies and this health scare, and it hasn't moved them to action. They're still probably in pre-contemplation or indecisiveness, or I'm not sure, maybe. Is there anything, just looking back based on your journey? And by the way, how long has your journey in wellness been right now? How many years right now?
I want to say like 12 years. So it's been a
Wow.
long, so
Wow.
it's been a good while.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been about 12
Wow.
years. Yeah.
Wow. Looking back, what will you say for the doctor, the medical doctor, woman in medicine? There are just so many titles right now to be a woman in medicine. It's so hard to, but I'm sure they know who I'm talking about. What will you say to them if they are struggling? It's like, I want to start, but I just don't know how. Like, what will you say to them?
There are two things, right? There is the addiction to the hustle that we all
Mhm.
get. And I call that the FOMO, the fear of missing out. So we want to be
Okay.
everywhere at every time. We want to be everything to everyone. So that's the one thing. And then there's also the we're afraid, right? We're comfortable in the hustle, we're comfortable in the discomfort, right? The discomfort, like whoever is on that precipice of changing right now. I'm sorry, my phone keeps beeping. Whoever's on that precipice, they know, right? But it's just so much more comfortable to stay where they are, to hustle, to have this stressful life, to be saying, oh my goodness, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Actually, I think subconsciously sometimes we get used to saying, oh, I'm so tired because I have so much to do. We get used to that. And it becomes our it's a discomfort, but we're comfortable in it. And then the other one is just the fear of the unknown,
Right.
right? Like when you've had that epiphany that life, okay, life as I have it has to change. The first thing that comes to mind is I can't change it, or I don't know how I'm going to change it. But I always say, like, for anyone who's on that precipice, congratulations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that means you already know something is off. You're not
Right.
you're not in this state of oblivion where you're in this rat race and you don't even know you're in a rat race. You've come far enough to say, I'm in a rat race, but I don't think this is it, right? So you're there, and it's always that jumping. It's always that jumping. And that's kind of what that retreat this summer is going to be about, right? Is to help you from the, ah, I think I know, but I don't know what it's like on the other side, to show you that there is better on the other side. There's actually a better you, not just for yourself, for your patients, for your family, for your purpose. There's a better you on the other side.
Wow. There's a fear which you mentioned, the fear of the unknown, because many times as women in medicine, we're hustling really hard, but the end result is income, money. And most of the time, I don't know, for us, like Africans, immigrants, when you get to this point, where you start working as like an attending in practice or some sort, you are at a level of societal improvement to say, I won't really say you've shifted in class to middle class, but just a level of, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what happened,
Okay,
where
you're back.
you, yeah, where you're afraid, that, if you cut back hours, or, you know, it's going to cost you something extra to, you know, invest in your wellness, I would say. And so that fear in itself keeps you in the hustle. What will you say to that? Because I've spoken to several women in my journey. Like, I'm primary care, I'm family medicine, and my specialty is women health. And so I hear women tell me that I need to slow down, but I'm afraid. I can't slow down, you know. I need to, I need the extra money, you know. My kids are going to go to college, you know. I have to pay bills, send money to Nigeria or Africa. Like, it's just this, I know I'm not doing well. I know I'm struggling. You know, I had a patient, physician tell me that she's struggling with chronic, you know, athlete's feet, like fungal infection in her feet, because, you know, she has to wear like sneakers and clogs, and, you know, and she can't even get treatment for her feet because, you know, it's crazy. And I'm like, you need to slow down and then, you know, just reset your life. Actually, like, how? And we ended that conversation without any, you know. So please tell us how you're able to disengage, because I know you're a surgeon. As in, how are you able to disengage? And of course, being a surgeon, you're type A. You're also a businesswoman. And then you're a coach, you're an entrepreneur. I don't want to go to that area of your life. That'll be later. But on the wellness part, how did you disengage from all that and say, I don't care if I cut hours, I don't care if I lose money, I don't care if I'm termed lazy or I'm ineffective at work, but I'm going to do this? Because that's a real big problem. Even why some people haven't signed up for the retreat, they're like, this is not the time. This is the time to hustle, you know. How
So
did you disengage from all this and, you
no,
know,
I
prioritize your
love,
wellness?
yeah, I love how you put it, but it really is two different messaging. Like you said, I don't care if I lose money, but you know, mindset coaches would tell you to rephrase that question and say, I need to create time for myself so that I can show up in excellence.
Love that.
And so my return on time is higher. And that's what I saw. Like once I prioritized my mental health and my self care and all of that, when I showed up, what I made per hour went up, my value went up. And so a lot of times, and we also buy into that narrative, like that we have to save the world, or if I cut the time, then I can't send money to this person, can't do this, I can't do that. But I beg to differ, because when before we were licensed, we were able to make ends meet, right? We were.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So but the narrative or the lie we get is that the higher we go, the more expensive our life should be. And so
Hmm.
we have to support that lifestyle. And it's this is not a knock against good things, because I love good things. I'm
Of
sure you
course.
know
Of
that.
course.
But
Of
it's you've got to really, like, you've got to be intentional how you do it. Because what happens is we become a doctor, and all of a sudden we think that that house we're living in does not befit us anymore. The car we were driving is not up to our status. And so we increase. I'm just throwing that out. Those are just examples. And then now we feel more stress on ourselves. And then we also feel like we're superwomen. We have to save the world. And I've realized and I've come to understand and be okay with the fact that I can't help everybody
Right.
and I can't save the whole
Right.
world. So,
Right.
in as much as there are people that depend on me, I can only help who I can help.
Mm-hmm.
My first responsibility is my nuclear family. And it may sound like, oh my goodness, like you're not helping everybody. I'm trying to help everybody, but I've look, what do they tell you on planes? They say, look, if there's something going on, you put the mask on yourself
Mm-hmm.
first before you help others.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to make sure there's mask on me and my family, and then I can help you with your mask. And that is a mindset that we need to have as women and female physicians, because also we're also very emotional beings, right? So we get involved in our patients' lives, we get involved in all these things, and there's emotional drag here and there. And a lot of times you have to quiet the noise. You've got to
Right.
quiet that noise. Yeah.
For those that have a difficulty saying no, and I notice people don't know this, I talk to female doctors a lot, and on the outside, they think we're really like tough, we're leaders, we have to make independent decisions, and we show up. But truly, we're the nicest people. We really care. We're very vulnerable, but they don't see that. But on the other side now, how do we deal with saying no? Like saying no to that extra shift, saying no to, that's the extra that's putting a toll on our health, on our mental wellness, and the other areas of wellness that we can identify. Because many times we kind of struggle to say no, and it's really like hard to say no, I can't do this anymore. Have you been able to master the art of saying no as a complete sentence?
Look, like I told you, that it's a journey, right? I get better and better. Um, am I saying more no's now than I did before? Absolutely. Um, but no is probably one of the most underutilized self-care tricks, right? Like,
Right.
yeah, because when we are people pleasers, because that's what our inability to say no is. It's just we want to please other people, even detrimental to us. That's what it is. Like, to be honest, like, think about it. When someone says, "Hey, can you help me babysit my kid? Because I have to go out," but you're tired, and you say, "Yeah, I'll do it," but you're not supposed to do it. You're thinking of that person more than yourself. So, no, the inability to say no is actually a sign that you're not prioritizing yourself.
Right.
and and
Right.
here's the thing that I also say when it comes to, so we can talk about no at work, which is much easier for me, because if I'm not going to do the surgery, I'm just not going to do it. It's period. But no is actually harder with people you have relationships with, like your friends
Mhm.
and all of that. But I also say, like, I don't have to explain myself, right?
Mhm.
One, I don't have to explain myself, so my no is a complete sentence. Number two, I say it lovingly. I'm not saying no because I don't, it has nothing to do with your person. It has to do with me. So no is typically not at somebody. No is a wall that I put up for myself to protect myself. So that's the second thing. Third thing is, this is something I truly believe. A lot of times we overextend ourselves to say yes for something that we don't truly want to do. We take the opportunity away from someone that really does want to do that thing. So, for
Right.
example,
Mm.
my kids, let's say there's a school bake, and they come to me and it's like, "Are you going to bake cookies?" And I say yes. But I really wanted to say no for two reasons. For one, I don't have time. Two, I'm not good at baking. I can cook, but I can't bake. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Publix, I'm going to buy cookies. If I said no, somebody else could have said yes, that really loves to bake, that has all the time in the world, and would put a lot of love into making homemade cookies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's the way I see
Yes.
it. Every time I
Right.
say no, I give somebody else an opportunity to say yes.
Hmm.
It's
Wow.
just in my head.
Wow. I never saw it that way. That is so powerful. Oh, God.
Mhm. Yeah. It's somebody else would say yes.
Wow. Uh, so going in that same direction of saying no, I mean now saying yes. So we've talked about deciding, dealing with your mindset blocks and all that stuff. Now saying yes. Okay, I want to start wellness. I'm a doctor, but where do I start from? How will you advise? Like, of course, you started about 12 years ago and you're still on the journey, but what baby steps will you kind of like recommend throwing in to just getting that wellness journey started? Where will you? Because right now you've made so much progress. Like I know you're lifting weights, and you have spa days, you do a lot of fun stuff, but you didn't start, that wasn't you initially. You obviously had to build up to that point. So what will you say for that, for the something-year-old doctor who's stressed out, and like, okay, Dr. Jumoke, I think it's
It's
time.
time.
What will you advise?
Yes. So I love that you said that. So a lot of people, when they think of wellness, they think of things like the spa, the working out every day. They look at the already I want to say well-formed habits. right? And then they're looking at where they have no structure. And that's what really deters them. They look at their life and say, I have no structure at all. And then they look at like someone like me who's going to work out at 5 in the morning, who's eating right, who's going to the spa. And that transition seems almost impossible. Like the thought of it is
Mm-hmm.
so scary,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I say, don't do that. Don't do that. Start with the little things. Like you may not be able to go to the gym at 5 in the morning because you haven't worked out that muscle in your mind, but you can go for a 15-minute walk
Right.
after work, right? You can,
Right.
you may not be able to meal prep for the whole week, but instead of having Chick-fil-A for lunch, you can go to Chick-fil-A and get a salad,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like switch it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Instead of a spa date, you could have your own time at home. Like you could have your time, buy some stuff. Amazon is great, and kind of, or go for a pedicure. So you're not like, don't go for the fully formed habits. Take a step from where you are, because those are more achievable. They don't look like, oh my God, that's big time wellness, but like that 15-minute walk after work could be the difference between you being a sane mom and being a mom that's yelling at your kids because you're so stressed out, right? Big difference. Yeah.
Somebody sent me a message. Let me just throw it out here. Say no to your kids. How do you say no to your kids when you are, if the biggest stressor you have in your life is kids? How do you say no
So what
and
are you
not
saying?
have mom guilt?
Yeah, what are you saying no to? So could be that, oh, mom, you promised that we were going to go to the balloon museum and we didn't go. Like something like that. Is that kind of what you're
I
asking?
guess.
Yeah.
I think it
So
has to do with maybe dealing with mom guilt. The word is mom
yeah,
guilt. I guess
yeah. I
because as a
mean,
doctor, you're always out of the house anyway. You're out for longer hours.
look.
You're hardly home. And so it's like the time they now need you is like your rest time.
So
So
let me
how do you
tell
say no?
look. Let me tell you something. Take the mom guilt and shove it, because I've had it for several years. You're going to have it. Even people that are not out, they're going to have it. Um, but I think it's also important that you are communicating with your kids, and you're having
Mm-hmm.
conversation with your kids, and you're setting expectations with your kids. I mean, one thing that I remember one of my kids said that really got me was, I didn't know that I was saying, I'm so tired, I'm so tired, I'm so tired. That became like my phrase, and I did not know that, right? So when I really was tired and I said I'm so tired, they just rolled their eyes, because that means I didn't want to do anything. So there is some self-awareness that I had to have, and it came from my
Right.
kid. They said, watch what you say, for two reasons. One, I was saying it so much they did not believe I was tired. They just thought it was my way of getting out of spending time with them. But secondly, like what you say manifests, right? So I was saying it and I was like really sluggish. So I had to be very intentional and aware of what I was saying, you know, so that when I did say I was tired, was because I was tired, not because that was my excuse to get out.
Love it. Love it. I think communication is really important, as you said, like, and I think our kids know that we're doctors and our kids know we work really hard. I think they value it when you explain to them that mom is saving a life. But that would be a different discussion. It wasn't about the kids. Well, it was a question I had to just throw it because somebody asked. So
No
yes,
worries.
yes. So I like your response to saying yes. So it's like in the little things. Finally, accountability partners. For some people, they don't have the privilege of having a spouse or a partner or I don't know, community that's wellness minded. Typical example, African family where the guy still likes all his orishi kind of diet at night with the pounded yam and all the heavy stuff. And you're trying to do a wellness plan and he still wants all that greasy stuff. And so you don't have accountability with diet or with exercise or even wellness, maybe having a TV in the bedroom with music and all. What would you advise for such a person who's struggling with having accountability in the home or even in community and wants to get into the wellness
Yeah,
path?
so
What would you
let's
say?
let's talk about meals, right? Um, I'm Nigerian, so we still eat sometimes orishirishi, right? And it's not in the orishirishi, it's in the portions,
Right.
was kind of where we started, right? So look, it's not worth the stress to go home and fight your spouse and say, from now on, we're not eating again, or we're going to just be eating salads. He's going to be like, what? And that in itself is not great for your mental health. So don't. However, what you can
Right.
do is, if you're the one prepping, prep meals a lot healthier. You can make a lot of substitutions, and portion accordingly. It's so much
Right.
easier to start with portion control
I love
in
that.
our African meals and then slowly switch it than to just do a cold turkey switch. Because if you try to do a cold turkey switch, you're going to be in trouble.
I love that. I love that. I wish I had this recorded, what you said just now. Like, it was so good. Sorry, just go ahead. It
Yeah.
was so good.
Yeah, don't cold turkey switch them. Like, portion control it, and then, and then, like, as your portion controlling, I mean, we're women, we know how to give a lot of like, as your portion controlling, and you're like, look at you, your stomach is looking nice, so, and all of that, all of a sudden they're like, man, like, it's a psyche thing, but it works, but they are healthier. And you're doing it from a good place
Yeah.
because you want your partners to be healthy and to have a long life, and you want to grow old together. So those for me are like the things that move me to doing those things, and those are the things that should move us to prioritizing self-care first as well, right? Because we want to be here long, we want to take want to be we want to be here after work is, after we're done working, we want to live a good life. We want to enjoy the life that we've worked so hard for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
prioritizing self is actually not an option. Like, it's not something, it's a necessity when you think
Right.
about it. And
Mhm.
also when you think about the fact that we were created for a purpose, right? God put us on this earth to do something. And for me, I think about the fact that the people that he's attached to me, the lives that he's entrusted me to change, whether I know them or not, I would do a better job if I'm healthier, so that I can be here for a long time and really fulfill, like, the purpose that God has called me for, or the purpose he created me for.
Wow. Wow. This is so good. Somebody said prioritizing self, it's not an option, it's a
It's a necessity.
necessity.
Yeah.
I think it's still an ongoing struggle that we might have to kind of just continue to talk about, because as doctors, we know, as in, we actually gatekeep well care or wellness or well-being. That's what we give to our patients. It's just so unfortunate that we just don't know how to make it our lifestyle. And I think you've shared so many vital tips that are really practical, I would say, very practical. And I think it's the baby steps. And I think these tips really help just getting into wellness and not looking at I didn't do a spa, or I didn't go luxury shopping. Because for some people, wellness for them is like, the next luxury shopping, I've worked so hard. Let me now, like, spend money that I worked hard for. But I think just being able to get up, move around, modifying your diet, sleeping better. Those are the little things that I think we could start, and then definitely start seeing like changes. How do you do with consistency? Because that's another thing. People start and then they fall off the wagon and then they're like, I'm done. How have you been able to stay consistent um over the past like decade in your wellness journey?
So my thought on consistency is that I will consistently try, right?
Okay.
That's it. Like, you get credit for trying. And that's what people don't see. So, like, and if I fall, I'm going to continue to try. Like, don't hold yourself. Like, a lot of people, what happens is they start January 1st, they have a New Year's resolution, they join a gym, they go for like 3 weeks, and something happens, they fall off the wagon. And then all of a sudden, they go into this self criticizing state, like, I can't do anything right. Like, I truly believe in self-talk being
Okay.
the key to a lot of to unlocking or locking a lot of potentials in man. So they start telling themselves, I'm just not good enough. I'm just not this. And guess what? You're going to stay down in the dumps. I fall off the wagon a lot.
Okay,
But you know
good to
what?
know.
I fall off the wagon a lot,
Good to
but
know.
I am gracious to myself. I grant myself grace. And the first key of self-love is to be kind to yourself.
Hmm.
We're kinder to others than we are to ourselves.
I
So I fell
know.
off. Yeah, so I fell off the wagon. Like, okay, I fell off, but I get back up. There are days when I wake up, look, and I already planned I'm going to the gym at 5 in the morning. Do you know how much work it takes to go to the gym at 5 in the morning? I have to be up at 4, which means I have to go to bed like by 9. I'm up at 4. I have my oatmeal. I pack my bag, and I go to the gym. Right. So I'm there at 5. 5. 5. The cock is not even crowing. So some
7,
days,
5,
5.
5.
So some days, like once I'm there, I'm happy. But some days I get up in the morning and you know what? I just roll over. There's no reason why, right? But the next day, I take each day as it comes. I don't go the next day, oh my God, I failed yesterday, so I'm not going to do it. Guess what I'm going to do the next day? I'm going to plan to go to the gym again. Like it is consistency. You have to consistently, so it's consistent effort that brings forth consistent habits.
Yeah.
Consistent efforts
Consistent
is
effort
what
brings
brings
for
forth
consistent
consistent
habits. Love it.
habits. We're always focused on the habit, but like for you to build the habit, there has to be an effort, and the effort has to be consistent. That's what pushes it, right? The effort is
Hmm.
the gas in the car to make it move. But most of us don't think about the effort. So for me, I think about when I'm going to the gym the night before, I mentally get ready, I sign up for a class, I pull out my clothes, like mentally I'm there. And guess what? At 3:55, my eyes pop open because I'm already there, right? But if I'm not prepared, the days that I roll over are the days the night before. For some reason, we had friends over, my schedule was messed up, and
Right.
I'm not prepared. And I find myself, so that's for me. So I begin to find those patterns, and then I begin to put effort on it so I can develop those habits. So, um, and you're not going to be 100%, but that's the key. Even if you're not 100%, keep showing up for yourself. Keep showing up for yourself. So if you decide that I'm going to do a 10-minute walk after work, you may not do it. You may not be able to do it every day because your kid might have a soccer practice on one day and you're not going. Like that doesn't mean you failed. It just means the very next day I'm going to go outside and walk for 15 minutes. It's very little things that really change, moves the dial. And we're always
Yes.
thinking of the big things, but it's the little things.
I think I lost you there. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. And then I just want to reiterate what you said. Consistent efforts produce consistent habits.
Yes.
And these habits over time will create a
That you
lifestyle,
want.
which is where you are at right now.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. I could go on, but I'm going to let you go so that you could kind of like do stuff. And I know you have to be in bed early, but if there's anything you want to tell, so I want to put us in two groups. So there's a group of people who are ready. They're in their, they're at that point where they're like, I'm no longer pre-contemplating. I want to take action. But Dr. Jumoke, it's hard. I really don't even know how to go about this. Like everything you've mentioned is a problem, from family to having an African husband that likes swallow at night to kids to needing to work extra shifts. What will you tell that person who's like, I'm ready, it's time to take action on one side? And then on the other side, the person that's like, it's because you don't arrive, as in, I beg, it's time for me to hustle. I need to hustle. My kids have to go to college. I need to make American money. Don't worry, later. And the person is already struggling with so many chronic diseases and obviously a lot of mental challenges. So, on both sides, what will be your parting words to those people? Two groups
So
of
I'm going to
medical
talk.
doctors. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to talk to the second group first, the ones that really have not reached that level of awareness. until you are tired, sick and tired of being sick and tired, you will not make progress,
Right.
right? Like you have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like there's something that switches in us when we're like, this is enough, right? And I can only say, like, keep listening to self-help, keep like, because nobody can make you, like, nobody can get you to that point except God, right? Nobody can get you to that point where you want the change. So until you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, change will not come. So if you're there, um, I'm going to hope that listening to this begins this transformation, mental transformation to say, I wonder if there's more for me on the other side. For the people that are at that junction, right? At that that boundary of that new life, jump, jump in. There's never going to be a perfect time. There's never going to be perfect situations. You're never going to have, look, there's a really reason why they're millionaires and billionaires and zillionaires, because nobody ever has enough money. Nobody ever has enough time. Like you can chase the money, but when you get to that level, for some reason, it's never enough. So you have to decide at some point, it's never. I mean, think about it. Why are millionaires still working?
Yep.
Because they want to be billionaires, right? Why are, I'm thinking about my 15-year-old who's an hundredaire, right? Why does he want more? Why does he want more chores? Because he wants to be a thousandaire. Like there's always the next level, right? That's why, and sorry, I'm going to pull the Bible in here. That's why the Bible talks about us going from glory to glory to glory. He never said we go to glory and then we stop, because there's always better. There's always
Yeah.
more. So, so if that's your fear, like, oh my God, you've just got to jump where you are, because you can make a change. It could be just one change that you make today that changes your entire life. So if you're there, you're like contemplating, you already know that this life that I'm living, the way I'm living life is not what I desire. This is not where I want to be. Just jump. And it could be as little as, you know what, from now on, instead of I'm trying to think of, instead of eating swallow at night, we're going to have a nicely prepared meal. And then that means on Sunday, I'm going to go to the shop and I'm going to prep. Like it's those little
Or
changes.
so that
Or
like you don't have to stop at the drive. You don't have to stop at the you don't have to stop at the drive through. Like really,
yeah,
just drive home. Or no
exactly.
soda.
Or you know what? So I had a coaching client once, and they had struggled. She and her spouse had struggled with just healthy lifestyles. And I said, why don't we start with water? And then she looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, how much water do you drink? She was like, I barely get a 16-ounce in. I'm always running around. She's like, I'm so busy. This person was a medical professional too. And I said, okay. I said, I want you to stop by the store and get the small 10-ounce bottles of water, the
Mhm.
case. She was like, okay. I said, take it to work. She said, okay. I said, when you get to work each day, take 6 of those bottles and line them on your desk. And she's looking at me like I'm crazy. And I said,
That's what I
every
do. I just
time,
have them everywhere.
I
So I
said,
get my like eight
every time you
food.
see a patient, go into your office, drink the 10-ounce bottle, and throw it like you're a basketball player into the trash can. She was like, really? I was like, yeah, we're going to do that till I meet you next time. So
Wow.
she goes from drinking 16 ounces to 60 ounces of water.
Wow.
And she did not even, like, she was like, so when we met, she was like, this is amazing. She's like, I didn't even think about how easy it was. She was like, it's 10 ounces. Again, goes to like, it's the small changes. She was
Mhm.
drinking 10 ounces, which means she could down it at one time
One time,
and then
yeah.
go. And then before we knew it, 6 months later, she had not only lost weight, her husband had lost weight. They stopped drinking soda. Like there were so many testimonies of just all it was this 10-ounce bottle of water. So a lot of times
Amazing.
we
Amazing.
overthink what the change is. It's so much simpler than we think. So much simpler than we think.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I have to let you go, but we have to do this again, please. Like, I feel like it has to be an ongoing discussion. Like, doctors have the highest stressors, and we are actually one of the professions that have the highest cardiovascular problems and risk. And the quality of life post retirement for doctors is really poor. Like many of them are like really sick, very resentful at the end of the day because
Hmm.
they've spent their youth serving. So there's arthritis, there's dermatitis, there's insomnia, dependence on substances to get going. I feel like these discussions are good for now, particularly as there's so much emphasis on healthy aging and aging backwards, like you are. So,
Thank you.
if you can oblige me, we would like to have this again and just to create the awareness, particularly in our culture where, as you said earlier, we celebrate hard work a lot. We celebrate the stripes of sufferhead on our backs. Like that shows I'm doing something. And sadly, we
Absolutely.
don't prioritize wellness. Thank you so much.
No,
Thank you.
absolutely. And I'm looking forward to the retreat. I'm going to enjoy it as much as every other person there. And it's just
Yes.
a time for female medics, right? To get together. We're not doing any CE courses. Like this is not continuing education. We're going to talk about experiences. We're going to talk about how to up level. We're going to share stories of just like tangible things that you can go and do. That's the key, right? Is to, first of all, you're getting away from everything, which is super important. Because I always say, before you were a doctor, before you were a woman, I mean, before you were a wife, before you were a mother, before you were all of that, you were you. And sometimes we're so
Yes.
disconnected from that us. So the retreat is to find you again, right? To find you, find the things that make you happy, find the things that you love to do. Like really take, like peel off all the onion layers and find you again and begin to build just a healthier, happier you.
Thank you so much. And for those that have joined and those that are going to watch later, or those that joined late and will watch later on, Dr. Jumoke is our keynote for the retreat, as she's coming with decades, with emphasis, decades of experience in building a lifestyle of wellness. As you know, wellness is not just medicine or sleep or diet. It's holistic. It includes your social life, your lifestyle, your finances, even like retirement planning. It's all part of wellness. And she's going to come with all that amazingness to the retreat. So please sign up. And if you have any questions, please send a DM, reach out. We'll be glad to help. Thank you so much. And
Thank you for
I'll see you on the other
having me.
side and drag
All
you back
right.
here again.
All right.
Thank
You have a
you.
good day. Have a great
You too.
evening and
Take care.
have a
Bye.
wonderful week ahead.
You too. Thank you so much. Bye.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you.